FDA panel rejects Otsuka and Lundbeck's PTSD drug, Rexulti plus Sertraline combination fails. Imagine pouring countless resources into a groundbreaking PTSD treatment, only to face a crushing blow from regulatory advisors. This is precisely what happened to Otsuka Pharmaceutical Co and their partner, Lundbeck A.S. Their ambitious endeavor to introduce the first new drug for post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, in over 2 decades hit a significant roadblock. But here's where it gets controversial. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration's, FDA, panel of external advisors cast a decisive vote that could reshape the future of PTSD treatment. Let's dive into the details and explore the implications of this unexpected turn of events. The FDA panel, consisting of experts from various fields, convened to evaluate the efficacy of Otsuka and Lundbeck's brexpiprazole tablets. These tablets, marketed under the brand name Rexulti, were being considered in combination with sertraline, a well-known antidepressant. The panel's verdict was clear. By a margin of 10-1, they concluded that the drug's effectiveness had not been sufficiently established. This decision marks a major setback for the drug makers, who had high hopes for Rexulti as a potential game-changer in PTSD treatment. And this is the part most people miss. The FDA's advisory panel plays a crucial role in shaping the regulatory landscape for new drugs. Their recommendations, while not binding, carry significant weight and often influence the FDA's final decision. So, what does this mean for the future of PTSD treatment? Will other pharmaceutical companies be deterred from investing in new therapies, or will this setback fuel further innovation? The answers to these questions remain uncertain, but one thing is clear: the journey to develop effective PTSD treatments is fraught with challenges and controversies. As we reflect on this development, it's essential to consider the broader implications for mental health research and treatment. How can we strike a balance between innovation and regulation? Should the FDA adopt a more flexible approach to evaluating new drugs, or is the current system sufficient to ensure safety and efficacy? These are complex questions that deserve thoughtful consideration. We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe the FDA's decision was justified, or do you think it stifles innovation in PTSD treatment? Let's spark a conversation and explore the nuances of this critical issue together. FDA panel rejects Otsuka's PTSD drug combination. What you need to know. Have you ever wondered if there's a magic pill for trauma? Well, here's where it gets controversial. U.S. health authorities just said no to a new PTSD treatment. On Friday, a panel of independent experts at the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, voted 10-1 against approving a combination drug developed by Otsuka Pharmaceuticals. The drug, brexpiprazole, was proposed as a treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, when taken alongside Viatris antidepressant, Zoloft. But here's the twist: the panel's decision echoes concerns raised by FDA reviews earlier this month. The mixed results from clinical trials and potential side effects of the drug raised significant doubts. The FDA, which was originally set to decide on the drug's approval by February, delayed its decision to gather more input from the advisory panel. The vote was based on the results of 3 studies, one of which failed to show a significant reduction in PTSD symptoms. The panelists acknowledged that while the combination treatment might be better for some patients who don't respond well to Zoloft alone, the potential risks, including weight gain and movement disorders associated with long-term use of antipsychotics, cannot be ignored. We simply cannot negate one negative study and say we are going to approve based on 2 other positive studies, said panelist Pamela Shaw, a biostatistician at Kaiser Permanente. The debate over this PTSD treatment raises some thought-provoking questions. Is the potential benefit worth the risk? Should we be cautious with new treatments for a disorder that affects millions? And what about the patients who have been waiting for a new option? Otsuka, the developer of the drug, said it would continue to work with the FDA as it reviews the application. The health regulator typically follows the advice of its expert panel, but it's not obligated to do so. If approved, this combination drug would be the first new PTSD treatment in over 2 decades, joining the ranks of Zoloft and Paxil. But for now, the fate of this PTSD treatment hangs in the balance. What do you think? Should we be cautious with new treatments for PTSD, or should we push for more options? Let us know in the comments below. FDA questions efficacy of Lundbeck and Otsuka's PTSD treatment, Rexulti and Zoloft combo. Imagine investing in a drug that could change lives, only to find out its effectiveness is shrouded in controversy. That's the situation Lundbeck and Otsuka face with their PTSD treatment, Rexulti. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, has raised significant concerns about the effectiveness of Lundbeck and Otsuka's proposed combination of Rexulti and Zoloft for treating post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. For an upcoming meeting of the FDA's Psychopharmacologic Drugs Advisory Committee, the agency has requested an expert panel to evaluate whether results from a promising Phase 2 trial and a positive Phase 3 study can overcome the negative findings from a second Phase 3 study. The FDA's concern stems from the discordant results between the 2 Phase 3 trials, which have raised red flags among reviewers. But here's where it gets controversial. The FDA reviewers have been unable to identify a clear explanation for the differing outcomes, despite extensive exploratory analyses. This lack of clarity complicates the interpretation of the overall efficacy evidence from these pivotal trials, raising questions about the drug's true potential. To support the Rexulti-Zoloft combination, Otsuka and Lundbeck conducted 2 well-controlled Phase 3 studies. The FDA and the drug makers agreed that the combo needed to consistently outperform Zoloft monotherapy, a standard first-line medication, to demonstrate convincing efficacy. However, the results have been anything but straightforward. One of the Phase 3 studies, which tested Rexulti at 2 mg and 3 mg in separate cohorts, was deemed a clearly and convincingly negative study by the FDA. This trial failed to show statistical significance on its primary or secondary endpoints, and neither dose was superior to Zoloft alone. On the other hand, the second study, which evaluated flexible dosing of Rexulti at 2 mg or 3 mg, was described as robustly positive in the FDA's briefing document. Given the conflicting results, Otsuka and Lundbeck submitted additional Phase 2 results as supportive evidence. They retrospectively selected 3 comparisons from the midstage, multi-arm study, which showed the Rexulti-Zoloft combo to be statistically superior to single-agent Zoloft. However, the FDA has noted that these data cannot claim to demonstrate statistical significance under the study's original design. In the 2 positive trials, the Rexulti-Zoloft regimen was associated with a statistically significant reduction in PTSD symptoms compared to Zoloft alone. This reduction was measured by the change in the clinician-administered CAPS-5 score from baseline to week 10. However, while the other Phase 3 study failed to meet its primary endpoint, the reductions in PTSD symptom severity seen in this trial were consistent with the 2 positive studies. To seek input from the advisory committee, the FDA has delayed its decision on Rexulti from its original target action date of February 8. In the wake of the delay, it's unclear when the agency aims to make its decision on the filing. Despite the controversy, Rexulti has delivered impressive growth driven by increased U.S. demand in Alzheimer's disease agitation. In the first quarter, Lundbeck recorded 1.5 billion Danish kroner, $233 million, of revenue from Rexulti, an increase of 28% at constant exchange rates. The atypical antipsychotic drug was cited alongside the CGRP migraine Viatris as Lundbeck's main growth drivers during the period. What do you think about the FDA's decision to delay approval of Rexulti for PTSD? Do you believe the conflicting results justify a cautious approach, or should the potential benefits outweigh the risks? Share your thoughts in the comments below.